Hello, my name is Ben Jones. I'm a creative director, and it's my honor to be here in Italy, which is a nation that has been teaching the world to be creative for hundreds and hundreds of years. I hope that I'll be able to share some ideas and insights with you today that will be helpful for you in your jobs. It is supposed to be a very challenging time to be working in advertising because there is this incredible amount of content out there. In the next minute from right now, 400 hours of new content will be added to YouTube. And in the next year, more than 450 new shows will be scripted and launched, more than any of us could watch in our lifetime. So what is happening to people in this world where there's more content than we could ever absorb, and yet we have a supercomputer that sits in the pocket of our pants or the palm of our hands where we can access this content at any moment? What we're told is that we have the attention spans of goldfish, that we just want everything faster, faster, faster. It's 10 seconds, and then 6 seconds, and 2 seconds, and 1 second. But if that's true, why did I spend 6 hours watching Netflix this weekend? And why am I already angry that 2 years from now, Game of Thrones is going to end? That's 10 years I've spent in that world. That's not the attention span of a goldfish. That must not be how media works. And if you look across all media, it's not getting shorter. It's actually getting longer and richer and deeper. Hollywood movies are not getting shorter, they're getting longer, 10 minutes on average over the last 5 years. Books are not getting shorter, they're getting longer. The chapters are shorter, the experiences are more intense, but the books themselves are getting longer. And we're in this golden age of long-form storytelling. Ozark on Netflix, Handmaid's Tale on Hulu. All of these experiences, we want these rich worlds full of storytelling. And so what's happening is not that our attention spans are shrinking down until they're shorter than a goldfish's. It is that we want what we want. And when we choose it, we want a lot of it, tons of it. We want tons and tons. And if we don't choose it, we want less and less and less of it. And so, unfortunately, the poor 30-second spot, which is how I made my career as a creative director, and many of you I'm sure have as well, the poor 30-second spot is stuck in the middle, where if I'm forced to watch it, it's way too long. The first 30-second ad will be dead on YouTube by the end of this year. You won't be able to buy it, because if you're a content creator, that is, you make your living based on the attention that people pay to your shows, you get to pick the ads that show up on your channel, and a 30-second ad is it's very financially valuable for you. However, you know that your audience hates it so much that they can't wait to get away from it, and they skip off of the show, out of the channel, off of the platform, and so there's no inventory for 30-second ads because people hate them so much. And yet, at the same time, if people do choose it, and I believe in this audience there are creatives who are making ads that people would choose to watch, then 30 seconds isn't nearly enough. If you build a world that I love and that I'm excited about, 30 seconds is over in a heartbeat, and that isn't nearly enough time to experience all that you want me to experience. And so we're stuck. Here is the 30-second ad. On the one hand, I want it much shorter, and on the other hand, I want it much longer. Well, my team, Unskippable Labs, does two things. First, we look at 1,000 ads a month, so you don't have to say, what is new in the world of advertising? How is it evolving? And second, we do experiments so we can deliberately understand where advertising is going. And so to understand this behavior that is about ads, and whether people hate them or not, we hear that all the time, right? Everyone hates ads. You hate ads. We've got ad blockers up. I can't stand them. We thought, what ad could we make that everyone would definitely skip? Like, how could we write such a terrible ad that no one would watch it? So this is what we made. That's a video. And there's the skip ad button. And we ran this on the platform, and it got a shockingly high view-through rate. Like, unfortunately, higher than many of your ads do that are beautifully done and have lovely storytelling. And so we thought, well, this is weird. People watch this ad, but people hate ads. And so we thought maybe they didn't understand, right? Maybe it wasn't clear that this is trying to be the worst ad ever. And so we made this ad to try and be even worse than that ad. And then 30 seconds of blackness. And guess what? People watch this ad at an astonishingly high rate, at a rate that if you got for your clients, they would be incredibly happy with you. It isn't that people hate ads. It's that people hate bad ads. And we're polluting their minds and their media, their screens with so many of them that anything that looks and sounds and feels like an ad, they're like, oh, you're going to waste my time, and their thumb is creeping up on the skip button or it's going to flick past in the feed. But a black screen, they're interested in. This doesn't feel like an ad. Maybe it's interesting. Maybe there's some mystery. Maybe I need to figure it out. All right, so this was the tip of the spear of understanding how creative language might be changing. Why is this important? Because the single most powerful force multiplier of all of advertising and all of marketing is creative effectiveness. If your creative is better, every single dollar that you spend works harder. And when you're a creative director, intuitively, you're like, yes, of course, I have the most important job. But how many of you creative directors feel perhaps your client does not feel that you have the most important job? Or the media director, or all of the other people in the ecosystem, and it's because we don't know how to defend ourselves necessarily. Here's a quick stat that you should bring into your next review with your boss. This is the ROI that your client gets from all of the investment in targeting and data platforms and all of the sophisticated evolution of the world of media. And this is what they get from creative. This is what they get from creative. And so why is it that we spend all this time at the top of the iceberg and not so much at the bottom? Because we think the top is science, and we think the bottom is voodoo magic, right? And it's full of secrets and no one can possibly understand. Well, let me give you some insights into how to unpack some of that voodoo magic that'll make the advertising you do better. I think the clearest thing for my team is that the language of ads is changing, and it's changing faster than ad agencies are changing, than brands are changing. We need to speed up. We need to leapfrog to catch up with where our customers are, and we're stuck in ways that we aren't even really able to perceive. To demonstrate this to you, I'm going to play the first ad ever run in the United States. First ad, it's a bull of a watch. It's amazing.
America runs on bull of a time.
Amazing, right? Amazing. What is this? This is a radio ad. This is a radio ad that had a little graphic put in front of it, and the guy who made that ad, and I'm quite confident it was a guy, he believed that this is what an ad was, right? America runs on bull of a time. Because what he knew was radio ads. And so when we come to a new medium, we bring the muscle memory from the old medium, this recognition that this is what an ad is, and so I'll make one and it will be effective. And that has got us stuck in this new world of digital video that is exploding, where the 30-second ad is withering in some ways, and these new worlds are opening up on either side of it. We have this muscle memory that says an ad is 30 seconds. That's what an ad is. But I'm here to tell you that it's not, and it may be something very different and much more interesting. So let's talk about what it might be. Let's start by saying you're going to make 30-second ads. Let's figure out how to make them better, right? What can we do to make them better in very simple ways? So my team was focused on the evolving language of mobile. How is mobile changing ads, and what should we do? We tried to talk a bunch of clients into doing experiments with us, and they said, oh, we're way too busy. We can't. So we wrote some fake ads, 18 fake ads, and they look like this. This is the ad we ran.
Don't you hate it when you just get stuck? You try this, you try that. Nothing seems to work. You ask the internet. Nothing. You ask the internet again, but differently. Maybe you even ask an actual human. Nobody seems to know.
How can I get the help I need? I'm stumped.
That's how I was. And then I found the thing.
Looks like a box.
It's not. Well, it is a box, but that's not the thing. It's the thing. And the thing about the thing is it unsticks the stuck no matter how stuck you are.
I want one.
Of course you do. It's the thing.
You would be very surprised to understand the number of people who will watch that ad and then click through to a site that says, this is a fake ad. We're experimenting with your attention. Thank you for giving us yours. And then they'll click on an email link, and they'll send us an email that says, I love the thing. Does it come in any other colors? So we ran 16 of these variations trying to tweak one very specific element to say what is different and how is the mobile response different. So this is one where we played with pacing and framing. That was the control, and this is one of the variations.
Don't you hate it when you just get stuck?
You try this and you try that, but nothing seems to work.
Left,
right,
up,
down.
nothing.
You ask the internet.
Nothing.
You ask the internet again.
But differently.
Maybe you ask an actual person.
Your peculiar neighbor?
That friendly barista?
Nobody seems to know.
You're stumped.
That's how I was.
Until I found the thing.
Looks like a box.
But it's not.
Well, it is a box. But that's not the thing.
It's the thing.
And the thing about the thing is it unsticks the stuck.
No matter how stuck you are.
Want one?
Of course you do. It's the thing.
So we ran that out in the market to try and understand the difference in mobile. And what we're looking at here is the ratio of mobile to desktop view-through rates. And the global benchmark for that is 79%. So 79% on mobile to 100% on desktop. This at 94% did better. It was a better performing ad in mobile than most ads. But this faster paced, tighter framed version, which is no work of art, right? All we're trying to do is see that one variable. This did much better on mobile. The most of any of the factors that we tested was the only one where mobile was higher than desktop, and it was the biggest jump in both categories of any. And this was a thing in mobile no one was talking about. What were they talking about? They were talking about vertical video, right? Mobile vertical video, that's what matters, that's what's important. Vertical video made absolutely no difference on our platform, no difference at all in this factor that no one was talking about. Pacing, framing, some other things, color correction, color saturation, these all had a larger impact than orientation. So we took this to brands and we said, well, we have some data now. Do you want to run an experiment with us maybe? And so this was Klondike. They gave us their 30-second ad. You can see the original at the top. And the bottom is just editing from their footage. So it's cropping in tight. It's using reverse shots in order to increase the pace. We added supers. And they saw 15% gains in their brand impact measures, awareness and product favorability. So not view-through rate, but brand impact for what is essentially an afternoon in the edit suite. Right? Any editor could do this. This is not magic. But to see that jump in performance, this is as much performance gain as you see from all of the targeting optimization that you do, all this efficiency that you get. This is the kind of improvement that you expect. So we took it to another brand at Unilever, Dove, and they were more conservative client, more conservative agency. They didn't make a strong change. Still pretty strong gains, 7% gains, for relatively minor differences in the creative. And so this, again, was the beginning of us saying, wow, there's something going on here, and we don't understand it. And if you're a creative director at an agency, you can't stand in front of your client and say, I don't know how mobile video works, right? They're paying you hundreds of euros an hour to know. But you don't know, and I don't know, and your client doesn't know. And we have the permission to say, hey, none of us know. Let's run an experiment and see. Let's find out. Let's be wrong in order to find out where right actually is. So visual language was the first area. The second is narrative structure, how stories unfold. And for this, we've been doing a lot of work with the Hollywood studios because they're launching a $140 million content startup every weekend. They're the best storytellers in the world, and if their stories don't work, then they go out of business. So look back not very long ago at movie trailers. This is Cars 2. Not very long ago, and I'm going to play you the opening of the trailer. That's a video. It's not a graphic. And then another endless 5 seconds. And finally, at 11 seconds, an establishing shot, another establishing shot, and oh, I'm finally getting into the story, right? It takes forever. So these are trailers from the last year. First, Sing.
How are we doing with those flyers, Miss Crawley?
Oh, good day.
5 seconds, I've got the pig singing Lady Gaga, I'm through the titles and I'm into the story, right? Boom, I'm gone. Or this for Independence Day. That shot of the giant foot crushing the Jeep, if you're making a 30-second ad, that's your money shot. Right? That's the thing. You build up. It's an alien invasion. There are people you should care about. Maybe there's a vulnerable little girl or a cute dog or something, and then, right, there's the giant foot. There's no time. There's no time. You have to start with dessert first. You have to give people a reason to choose you, and then you can tell them the story. Both of these trailers are twice as long as the Cars trailer, twice as long. If I get you to choose, then you want a lot, but I have to get you to choose first. And it's amazing how much that changes how you think about how stories should work, how they should unfold. I'll give you one more example. This is from Jason Bourne. It is literally a punch in the face. Literally a punch in the face. There is no subtlety in this metaphor, right? It is a punch in the face. And so as you look, as you think, how does attention work? It has to grab you in a new kind of way. And then you have permission to tell a bigger story, a deeper story. We look at the structure, we see a very traditional story arc, right? These are the ads we've all been making for forever, essentially. A lead-in, rising drama, climax, and then release. But this emerging story arc that we see built for how attention works, you need to grab my attention, and then you need to have a story that reveals itself and unfolds as I go. So it's constantly paying off and constantly offering something else. And then it can go on longer, not 30 seconds, but 2 minutes, 3 minutes, etc. Get me, hold me, and then allow me to enjoy as much of the story as I want to. We go to the networks and to the Hollywood. We did a project in the UK called Hijack, where we took teams that had scripts that had been approved for production but had not yet been produced, and we hijacked those teams. We said, we know what you're going to make, and so here's how we think attention works. Here's an extra $10,000 to do some post-production, some editing, and so on. How would you change the story? So this is the story of two brothers. One is a musician, one is deaf. The musician brother uses his HP Spectre laptop to rig up the basement so that it responds to musical instruments. And the deaf brother has this wonderful experience of music, right? Merry Christmas, thank you, HP. They took this story and they started at the end. They started with this explosion of light and color of the boy. You don't know they're brothers. You don't know one is deaf. You don't know he's alienated. Just this incredible explosion of light and color and this provocative question, can a gift change someone's life? And there is the result. 3 times the view duration, 10 times the watch time, 3 million extra minutes with this brand in a world where we know that on a second-by-second basis, the more time that a customer spends with your brand, the more powerful it is for them. So, pretty amazing result at just rethinking story structure, rethinking how a story unfolds. They didn't do another shoot day to get to 2 minutes and 45 seconds. They didn't have a second unit. It was the same team. It was the same footage they were going to capture for their 30 that just would have ended up on the cutting room floor. So a new story. All right, we work with a lot of the Hollywood studios and the networks. And we say, tell us what your KPIs are and give us your best piece of content. And so we were helping launch the show Taken. This is the ad that they gave us. This is their top performing ad.
So, did you get Mom and Dad a card, or do you want to sign this?
Give me that.
Everybody on the ground now!
My condolences. I'm a director of an emergency covert team. You tackled those gunmen on the train to protect 93 other passengers.
You're recruiting me.
Don't let Callie die for nothing.
What happened to my daughter?
We're gonna get your daughter back.
One man against the resources of an entire cartel? Who do you think you're dealing with here, Brian? Looking for me? There I am!
This is an ad we have all seen 10,000 times. We may have seen it 10,000 times today, right? Every hero has a beginning. Based on the blockbuster Taken, and I've got my remixed pop song, and I've got the montage of clips from the pilot and a couple of episodes in, and I've got the voiceover so I know who the characters are. This is what an ad is, right? Here is the bull of a creative director saying this is what an ad is. In contrast to that, we ran this.
What are you doing?
I need you to do exactly as I say. No time for questions, just listen. When I start walking down this car, I want you to grab that backpack there. See it?
Right, what's going?
Do you see it?
Yeah.
I mean, this worker tells you it's his, you argue with him, and you keep it going until I either come back or I shout out your name. And if I shout your name, you get down as fast as you can and you crawl into a space between those seats.
You're really scaring me.
Just do as I say. Everything's gonna be fine.
What's so funny?
Hey, excuse me. That belongs to me.
What? No, I don't think so.
Yeah, it does. Please, just give it back.
No need to talk to me like that.
Check the name. This is my bag. What the hell is your problem,
I don't
This?
care what you're saying.
No,
this is my bag.
This is mine, all right?
Just let go of
I'm
the
not
bag.
gonna let go. Give me my bag. Hey!
Watch the trailer for NBC's Taken.
So imagine for a second that you're the client and I bring in that second ad for you. Think of the criticisms that you have for me, right? I don't know it's based on the blockbuster Taken. What's the story arc? Who are these characters? Why do I care about them? Why would I watch this show? And yet, when you put that into market against the first ad, it did more than 250% better. More than 250% better than their top ad. Why? Because it doesn't immediately signal that this is an ad, which signals to people, this is probably going to waste your time. I'm about to waste your time. And you're like, oh, God, waste my time, waste my time. And your story has to be that much better. But this, they choose to watch, right? They don't hate ads. They hate bad ads. They would rather watch a black screen than an ad, or a scene that is compelling and interesting and gives them a reason to choose to watch it. They know it's an ad. You're not hiding from them that it's an ad. You're drawing them into a story in a way that is compelling and fresh and new. We had the opportunity to work on King Arthur also. Again, we said, give us your top performing asset and then let us run an experiment against it. So this is the control. It looks like many trailers that you will have seen before.
Listen to me. I need you to do as I tell you. I need to get you and the boy away from here. Protect the king!
Did you see everything you needed to see?
I saw enough.
Why is the water dropped? Why does the sword reveal itself now?
Right, and here's the rising arc of the story, and here is my Led Zeppelin song, and here I am in the midst of that very traditional story arc that I expect. That's what a movie trailer is. Well, they asked us two questions. One, should we focus on plot, the King Arthur story, character, the character of Charlie Hunnam's Arthur, or sensation, which of these is going to be most effective as a creative strategy. But we also had the opportunity to play with the visual language, so you'll see tightly framed, face-oriented, focused on character interaction in a way that reads better on mobile. The pace, fast, but not just fast, unexpected, pace that changes, pace that is unusual, that doesn't let me fall into a rhythm that says this is the cadence of an ad, and so therefore I'll skip it. And also, it's built in 3 acts. So first act is Charlie's perspective, and then Jude Law's, and then Jimin Hunsu's. So if I continue to watch, new layers of the story are revealed to me. It doesn't depend on me watching the whole thing. It keeps giving as I keep watching. So it looks like this.
Behold, your born king!
You're quickly becoming a legend.
The man who pulled sword from stone!
You've got the wrong man, sire. I could simply drift away.
Much as I'd like to believe you, your character makes that unlikely.
This Arthur's like a starving wolf, sort of dangerous and feral, but sort of sophisticated. He's had to take everything that he wanted. I'd known guys that grew up a bit feral, the way we decide to see Arthur growing up. I was really interested in the insatiable hunger of people that have nothing. What Guy and I both were eager to avoid was this sort of noble soul looking for a cause. Guy messes it up a little bit and sprinkles a liberal dose of what he likes to call the dust. Come on! So you make it a little less noble, and a little more grimy, and a little more selfish, and a little less pretentious.
What I think they've come up with is a very attractive, cocky but insecure everyman who has greatness thrust upon him and has to sort of discover his own abilities through the journey of the film.
I love that.
When this revelation happens and he discovers that he is the true king, he rejects it. He doesn't want the responsibility. He doesn't really take it seriously.
Do I know you?
You will in a minute. Put your hands out.
I don't think so, mate.
We forget it took a group of people for King Arthur to be King Arthur.
Like it or not, this is your lot. And even we don't like you.
We want to see what he can do, more specifically what he can do with the sword. In order to stand amongst men, he needs to show how much of a man he is himself.
Why have enemies when you can have friends?
We're not the righteous knights in shiny armor. We're the sort of rough and ready guys that will say, oh, no, we ain't got no problem. We don't want any beef, you know. Bam! Oh, sorry, looks like you knocked out. This has been by far the best film experience that I've ever had. I've had a blast.
And that moment where he says, this has been by far the best film experience that I've ever had, even for people who watched all the way through, they skipped at that moment. They were like, now you're an ad, and now you're wasting my time. When we sat down with the team at Warner Brothers, we said, do you have anything else? We'd seen 2 versions of the movie, a bunch of stuff that was on the cutting floor. We said, what else is there? And they said, oh, we did a bunch of behind-the-scenes stuff, but we would never put that in a trailer. Right? We would never put that in a trailer. Why would you not? Because it's not an ad, because that's not how an ad works. And yet this ad beat their control by more than 300%, and in the key audience that they were trying to reach, which was women, by more than 500%. And so this is a case where our muscle memory of saying this is what an ad is, of course we can't mix together footage from the film and behind the scenes because that's not what an ad is. We're not helping ourselves. Consumers want stories. They want stories told in new ways. Well, here are new ways, and we need to be more experimental about the ways that we use them on behalf of our clients. When we were talking with the folks at NBC about this, they said, I think that this is as important for our programming as it is for our promotions. And we had a long conversation about Netflix and the way that Netflix is building their narratives now. And I went back and I looked at the most recent season of House of Cards. Here's the opening shot, close shot of a face. And then 6 minutes and 19 seconds before you get to titles, a very high-intensity scene that jacks you into the show, that gets you very excited to watch the whole show. And then the second episode, tight shot of a face to open. And then 1:14 before you get to the title. So an intense scene, but not as long. And then a skip intro button. I'm not going to waste your time with the titles if you want to get into the show. This show, in its 5th season, they can do whatever they want. And we'll watch. This is David Fincher. He can tell whatever story he wants. And yet look at how he is building his show for attention. If you say, I can't change an ad based on attention, if he can change his show, yes, you can change your ad. And yes, you should change your ad. The stories that people are choosing are changing, and we need to change as well. The next experiment that my team is doing we call the new hybrid. We believe these dynamics that we see in mobile have as much impact on broadcast potentially, so we're going to take TV ads, edit them for mobile, and run them back on broadcast to see whether the dynamics that we're seeing improve broadcast creative effectiveness as well. It's my strong hunch that we will. Hopefully by the end of the year, we'll have new findings to share with you there. All right, just 2 quick areas of advanced content strategies. First, thinking about creative in context. So if we know from targeting who you are, where you are, what you were searching on, how are we changing our creative to suit? Well, Netflix had a wonderful campaign in the Philippines where they took clips from each of their shows and they ran multiple versions so that if you were searching on Beyonce, you would get this. And if you're searching on Lego, you'd get this. And so rather than the same ad over and over and over again, the ad is a little interplay between you and what you're searching for in this show. And it isn't about making new ads. It's the same ad. It's just a copy line that is tweaked. So it's a clever little conversation where the brand is like, I know a little bit about you, and so let me give you something a little bit different, right? Not the same ad, not beating them to death with the ad, but playing with them in a way that gives the brand a different kind of permission to be in their life. And so you're searching on relationship advice, and you get this.
Goodbye, Mike.
And you're searching on Nicki Minaj, and you get this.
For Christ's sake, James! You're getting bloody hard going out of this collar!
And so suddenly for this young, female teenage audience, there's a reason that I would pay attention to a show about mid-century British royalty, right? I see an emotional connection. I see a reason that I would choose to watch. I see an increase in relevance that would draw me into the show in a way that a trailer would never do. And so they did 8 or so of these clips for about 15 different shows. And again, just answering where people are in a way that was clever and fresh and new. The other thing that we see brands starting to do is playing with sequencing and format. So what kind of ads do you see in what order based on what behavior? We know who you are. We know what you've seen. We know what you chose to watch and what you didn't. And so how can we inform our creative strategy in new ways to work better there? So this is the launch of The Sinner this summer. They started with some short form, just teases, 6 seconds. So here's one. And then a second, more intense. And then after those two little bites that made you want the meal, then you could see the trailer.
I'm guessing that this isn't where you thought you'd be when you woke up this morning, is it?
I'm sorry.
Where did you stab him?
I stabbed in his neck.
You had no interaction with him before today.
I've never met.
And so there's the trailer. And if you chose to watch the trailer, which I know if you chose to watch it or if you skipped it, if you chose to watch it, I don't show you the trailer again. Instead, I show you this, which is a 4-minute and 30-second scene from the show. You have chosen this show. I don't need to show you the trailer again, then I would just be wasting money. And so I show you something very different, the actual show.
Hi, Mrs. Tonetti. I'm Detective Dan Leroy. This is Lieutenant Detective Harry Ambrose. I'd like to ask you a few questions. Thank you. You're a resident of Dorchester.
And so it goes on. It's very clearly not an ad because I don't need to show you an ad again, right? I got you. And so how do I get you deeper? Not by repeating the ad, not by wasting another impression that you're likely to skip, but by giving you more, something new to further the choice that you already made. And if you skipped, then guess what I know? I know that you didn't like my trailer, and that if I show you the same trailer again, you're likely to skip again, and so I need to show you something different. And so they designed a new creative strategy for that behavior, trying to focus on the fear of missing out. So you saw this trailer.
This doesn't make any sense. She attacks him in public. That's an impulse killing.
It's crazy, man. She just seems so normal. It's the mom with her kid.
We got everything except for why.
So you think she's lying?
Most people have secrets, even the most unlikely ones.
It's unlike anything you've ever seen before. It's using the voices of critics to say, if you miss this, you're missing out, right? It's not just the story anymore, but it's trying to apply some social pressure. Other people like this. It's Jessica Biel in a new kind of role. And so trying to take the understanding that you skipped the first and take you somewhere new. All right, the last chunk of my talk is about the future. I believe that we're at a move the camera moment right now. And if you go back to the dawn of film, the early days of film, film was a fixed camera and a theater production, right? And they filmed a theatrical production. That's what film was. And legend has it that Georges Méliès, the French cinematographer, was the first person to propose moving the camera. And when he did, all the theater directors said, "Oh, that's terrible. What a terrible idea. You'll lose all the magic of performance. You don't understand the storytelling. That's about the technology. It will be expensive. It will be slow. It will be painful, and people will hate it." Right? We are at exactly that moment now as we think about this data-infused storytelling and the opportunities that are there. Because we are the theater directors, and we are saying the same thing. It's expensive. It's slow. It's about the technology. You don't understand the storytelling. And yet, on the other side of Georges Méliès moving the camera was this beautiful magic of film that we have today. And so here we are at the precipice of a new kind of magical storytelling, and we can't see. We can see a sort of mechanical, like you looked at that red shirt, and so I'm going to show you the red shirt 10 times, 1,000 times, 1,000,000 times until you're sick of it and you never buy a red shirt again in your life. But there is an opportunity for a new kind of storytelling, and I'll give you just some clues that we're seeing out there of the opportunity. Our CEO said a year ago, we're not an information company, we're a machine learning company. And I thought, oh, it's great for search or photos or whatever, but it won't change my job. Well, this is the first time that I thought that it would. What you're looking at here is a machine learning algorithm, and it's doing a frame-by-frame search of this video, which is the Volkswagen Force commercial from a few years back. So it's looking frame by frame and pixel by pixel and trying to understand what it's seeing in there. And it's not perfect, but it's interesting what it can recognize and not. So I'll play it and tell you some of the things that it's seeing. So it can see that that's Darth Vader. That's good. It can also see that he's a Sith, because someone at Google is a nerd, and so that's important. It can see that that's furniture. It recognizes that's a dog. It actually can tell it's a Labrador Retriever, which is remarkable. It can see that's a washing machine. It's not really sure if that's a baby or a doll, which I get. It's kind of creepy and in between. It sees the dog again. It can see the move to the kitchen, the mother and child cooking. It can see the car, that it's a four-door car, that it's a luxury car, etc. Why does this matter? Why is this important? Because if the future of media is about choice plus immersion, and I can understand on a pixel-by-pixel, frame-by-frame basis what you choose to give your attention to, how do I change the story that I tell you? And I don't know how to do it by looking at this ad in any way other than massacring it, right? Oh, you like dogs, so we'll put the dog part first, or you like mothers and children, so we'll do that. And of course, you lose the magic of the storytelling, and it is about the technology. But that's because we're stuck in this muscle memory, this old way of storytelling, and we can't see what the new storytelling is yet. But this is just to say the data is out there, right? We know that. So that's one piece, the data. The other piece is a tool. So this is After Effects. You guys all know this, I assume, right? The layers, I can change the layers and they flatten out, and I publish out a video that has effects in it. We've got a new tool. It's called Director Mix, and what it does is it holds those layers open in the cloud so that you can use data to change any of the layers and then publish out 100 videos, 1,000 videos, 1,000,000 videos potentially, not yet, but you will be able to. And so there is the tool that can do the publishing, and there is the data that would tell you how you might tell a story that's different. And what is missing? The only thing that is missing is imagination. This is a gap of imagination, not of technology, not of data. It is a new kind of storytelling, and we're waiting to see it emerge. There are some very primitive versions, and so I'll show you. This is Netflix again. They're super experimental. What they've done is design a single asset that swaps out elements based on context. So if you're searching on sports, then you get this Narcos-themed trailer about flopping. And in a similar vein, if you're searching on business news, you get the same ad, except in a spreadsheet, lines have changed and scenes have changed, and so it compiles a new ad based on your context. So if you're searching on business or news, you get this ad. Could you do that with an editor? Of course you could. Of course you could. And how many versions do you make before an editor breaks? 5 versions, 50 versions, 100 versions. We have hundreds of pieces of data about every one of you. Who you are, where you are, how fast you're moving, where you live, where you work, whether your headphones are plugged in. All of these things that have the potential to change the story that I would tell you. I know if you just moved to a new city. I know if you're an empty nester, if you just got a new job, if you just had a baby. And if we were human beings standing in front of each other, every single story I tell you would be different based on that. But we don't know how to change the stories. We don't know what they are because we have this old muscle memory that says, this is what an ad is. This is how I tell you a story. I tell you the same story again and again and again and again. That's not how people work. That's not how their attention works. That's not what this new language of advertising is. I believe that the tools are there, the data is there, all we need is creativity. Sometime in the next 18 to 24 months, someone is going to figure out creative systems that's going to bring this together in a new way, not creative objects like an ad, but a system that can dynamically compile all of these pieces. that muscle memory is very pernicious. It's very hard to break. We were working on a campaign for EA Sports, and we had a system that generated 200,000 GIFs in real time in ads. And the legal team at EA Sports said, oh, that's really cool. We're going to need you to print out on paper every single one of the 200,000 variations so we can approve them. That is muscle memory locked in an organization that is preventing this new storytelling from coming out. But sometime in the next 18 to 24 months, someone is going to do it. And they're going to have a lion at Cannes, and we're going to be toasting them with rosé on the Carlton Terrace. And I hope that it's one of you, because we're all going to be jealous of you, and we're all going to race after you, and we're all going to have this new, fun language to play with. So I hope it's you. Thank you very much.